Okay, I'd like to do a little video on the Shroud of Turin. Here's a representation of the Last Supper. And so it was conducted, the Last Supper was, of course, the Passover feast. And so they gathered around a big table, and there was a giant cloth on the table. Now you'll notice there's wine cups, which would have been present at a Passover feast. Now, I believe that the Shroud of Turin is the actual burial cloth of Yeshua. Reason I say this is he wasn't expected to die. His execution happened during a Sabbath, and so he was hastily put in the tomb of Joseph of Arimathea, and they couldn't really do anything because it was a Sabbath and all the burial laws that were customary in ancient Israel. And so they didn't want to just leave him there in the tomb uncovered. So somebody had the bright idea, I believe, of going in and grabbing this large tablecloth, this linen cloth, and wrapping the body in it. So they wrapped it over on top. Now, a lot of people dismiss the Shroud of Turin out of hand because of the carbon dating, but remember, this thing has been in 2 fires. And when you have water, and it had water sprayed on it, when you add fire and water, it throws off carbon dating. Carbon dating is absolute in a lab, but in the real world, where there's water moving, and especially since carbon was added, I mean, there was a fire and water added. They once dated a pin from the Nixon campaign for president as being 10,000 years old. So carbon dating is absolute in a lab, but in real life, where there's water moving around, it tends to change the dates. So if you look at the biome that's in the shroud itself, the pollen and whatnot, no matter what, that cloth was in Jerusalem at some point. The pollen in there is indigenous to Jerusalem and the environs thereof. And there's wine cup glass marks all along the edge. Now, the shroud really didn't gain notoriety until they took the negative photo of it, and it showed Yeshua nude, but the inverse image of it. So that's why I tend to think that it's the actual burial shroud of Yeshua. And don't get all twisted out about it if you don't think it is, but it just I would tend to think it is, simply because of the biome in it. By the way, the people that study the Shroud of Turin are called Shroudies, and they've recently basically recreated one. Science has recreated one, so they're trying to use that to debunk it. But I mean, if you know, they spent, you know, $20,000, $30,000, $100,000 trying to recreate this, and then the likely culprit that they'll try to blame this on is Leonardo da Vinci. They say he used a camera obscura, which was an early form of camera, to make it. But I tend to think the burial shroud of Christ was the Shroud of Turin. Anyway, check it out. Thank you. I'm out.